Dave made it. It's like, wow, Dave.
Yeah, but a lot of really cool people make the video. And we want to say thank you to the people who make our video to show the amazing amount of trees and everything that we have in Athens. Thank you. So Athens Shade Tree Committee is open for the February committee meeting. First thing, we have all our people, so we have a quorum. We have our council meeting and David Riggs from the Code, our man from Code. Thank you. You could be 007, actually. So, first order of business is to okay the minutes from the last meeting that were wild and crazy. Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you. Second? Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Second order of business is to re-look at the edits for the code edits, reworking of the code, for mostly the dealing with us not being in the process of the Title 41, changing the pollinator program to broaden it and make it easier for people to be able to be in it, and how to deal with large lots that shouldn't have to be mowed, which now in the code they have to be mowed. So does that cover what you were concerned about? Okay. Questions or anything about the code that was presented? Okay. I suggest that we go forward with this code, and then when we want to do things like tree ordinances and tree care ordinances and those sort of things, we can forward that one under a later date. So I would like for people to vote to accept the changes, to say that we would like council to make the changes to code. So do I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you. Second? Thank you. All in order? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So I will forward those to Lisa, and that gives the next. David, have any concerns or?
Generally, we were just talking about this before the meeting. Generally, when you make changes to the code, you want to have a sponsor, so that would be one of the council members, and that council member then would bring it
Right.
for city council.
I think it needs to go to Lisa before. I just like that, because to give people in council, especially newer council members, a nice clean copy that the law director has looked at to make sure that it's legal is a good idea. Do you think that's a good idea?
Sure. I think after that, I'm happy to send it to Debbie Walker and introduce it.
You're our liaison.
Yeah.
So that way you don't have to send it to Lisa. It needs to go through at Lisa course anyway. So
Would you like us to kind of hit the highlights of what we're trying to change?
Sure. If you want to read it, yeah.
thank you.
So, one of the big points is to the native and pollinator-friendly yard program. Basically, it just changes the wording to allow renters, so not the owner of properties, to apply for these. And then it also takes away the $25 application fee for applying for that. It also changes commercial lawn maintenance, must put warning flags after application of pesticide. And then the other change was
The Title 41.
Title 41.
So Title 41 basically has development. Those are the development. So make sure that development proposals go through all the different processes, looking at, all the different committees and departments. And at one point, the Title 41 exempts certain acreage, certain lot size. However, what that has caused is these little developments getting away from being able to be responsible for any tree or any of the tree requirements that we have. So we think that, either these lot sizes should pay attention to our landscaping ordinances. You are a recipient and you gain as a business and it's, your people from having a very robust urban tree canopy and all the other benefits that the tree commission and the city are spending money on. Every business should be able to put forward their, help in that sort of realm. And if there's not enough space or they don't want to do a tree, then they go and give money to the tree bank. That's only fair because places that are bigger have to do it. A tree can go on a tiny, tiny little lot. Tiny little lot. So that's one of the big changes in
And
that.
then the other change too would be to Title IX. Is that correct, Dave? To put in invasive species in the noxious weed list.
Yeah, we have
Is that
that
correct?
right
Yep.
now, but it's not specific to which list you go for noxious weeds. We have been just assuming that it would be the Department of Agriculture, but it'd be better to have it more clear in our code.
Yeah, I think going through the state is probably a better way. There's a pretty strong kind of independent lobby that kind of touches base with the state and keeps a lot of touch on what is invasive, because it changes pretty rapidly across, geology. Like, we have different things than Kentucky has, even though it's the same species, they're, not as much of an issue here. So I think I believe there's a pretty robust state list of invasive species that they update, obviously, as well as the banned landscaping trees.
The banned horrible landscaping trees.
Yes.
The
So,
one that we all love to hate.
perfect.
Yes.
But those are the three big changes that are in the code.
And also allowing larger empty lots to not be mowed.
Yes.
I think that's really important. Thank you. So, do people have questions about the ordinance language that's are being projected? So, okay. I would suggest a vote on proposing these for council to mull over, right? So, do we have a
A motion?
motion? We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor? Thank you. So, the second item on our old news agenda is what happened last meeting. So I think we should give a real brief update on some of the things that happened and some of the products that come out of it, like what kind of committees that you suggest.
Yeah, so I
that
think
came out.
we were just kind of looking at that again. I was working through my brain to pull out all that we proposed last meeting. But I believe we had 4 committees that were formed. So we formed one to see if we can get in a little bit better communication with the city admin. So like a communication cooperation committee. That was kind of born out of the Indy reporting and seeing if we could get in touch with Andy Stone and see if we can kind of work on fixing some of those communication gaps, especially because a lot of people on the council are commission, whatever we are pretty new. So it's a kind of a big gap in knowledge and accessibility. And then that kind of opened up trying to work on communication and how we get our contact and our information out to people. So then we formed a subcommittee or a committee with Joanna heading it for kind of working on the STC page and seeing if we can kind of update that, work on our backlog of missing minutes, stuff like that, or at least stop missing minutes. And then Gene, I think you were on
Yeah,
too.
we had a fundraising or finding grant opportunities subcommittee, as well as a policy subcommittee. So making recommendations to changes to city code or different enforcements of city code within our purview as a commission.
And I think that was kind of born out of the Tree City or STC University or whatever that you went to.
Yeah, there was the Tree Commission Academy that I went to a few weeks ago, led by Ann Bonner at ODNR. It was kind of introductory, and there were like 4 levels to it, so I'll be going to more. But yeah, it was helpful to meet other folks from the area who are doing similar work, running into similar obstacles, and some other creative ways for addressing these issues. So
Great,
got a lot to bring back.
cool. Other things?
I think those were the big ones. Let me pull up the minutes here. I think the committees were really the big thing that we tried to get away with. And then we set some kind of wide-ranging goals that were basically just achieve the purpose that we set the committees out for.
Cool, great. Questions about that? Cool. So that was our old news, our old business, old news, not really old news, old business. And then the next thing is, okay. No, old business goes up. Anyway, we'll do our new business now. So I would like to open it up for a discussion of our year-long calendar, even though it's February, goes February. Like, it's more of a seasonal calendar. We do this, I think, every year, and that we need to put all the things and all the events and all the different things, like deadlines for grants and stuff, on the calendar. So one of the things that is first up that I think is essential for us right now is this Earth Day Sustainability Conference, the days that the university has. And so one of the things I've been working with one of my students, who is awesome, is doing some volunteer citizen science and training around the whole sustainability conference and days that OU has. And so I'd like actually would you like to talk about what you would like to do?
Yeah, of
Okay.
course. Just to briefly introduce myself, my name is Eva Miller. I'm an undergraduate student here. I'm a sophomore studying environmental studies, and I'm minoring in urban planning. And I have a strong interest and a little bit of background in urban forestry. And I'm taking this class right now called Sustainability Implementation Practicum, where each student gets to design a project and implement it within the semester. So I reached out to Chris because I'm hoping to be able to work with all of you guys to develop a neighborhood tree tour in Athens for resident engagement. And I also think that we could incorporate some citizen science into that. It doesn't have to be the same day as the tree tour, but it could be, part of Athens Beautification Month, or part of the same week or something like that, where in preparation we would be able to develop an official protocol for tree inventory, because we currently don't have one. So I think that's really important. Also, looking ahead, being able to eventually do the research and be able to create an Athens tree plan, we need a good comprehensive tree inventory to start. So I think that could be something that I could help you all with as a student. And also I think that with that protocol, obviously we could test it out and maybe be able to demonstrate it to residents in the form of a BioBlitz or something. I know that Chris was telling me about a BioBlitz being a possibility. So those are the two main things that I'm really hoping to get done. I had a few dates in mind. Obviously it's up to you guys as well whether we'd want these two events, if they're possible, to be on like a weekday or on a weekend. Obviously, with a tree tour, we'd like it to be in the spring so we can actually show residents the trees in their fullness. I was thinking like the last weekend in March, first weekend in April. Part of my project is that I have to present it at the Student Research Expo, which is on April 8th. So anytime before that would be great. Yeah.
Questions?
I don't think I really have questions, but I think that would be super useful. That's kind of something that came up when we were looking into some grant funding, is that a huge hole is that we don't have basically an urban tree plan.
Right.
So I do think, setting up even just like expectations of what we want in that, what a inventory would look like, and maybe if we could set you up to kind of get maybe like a draft, and then maybe do like one street
pilot
or something.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
have like that should be enough of like work to show at a presentation or an expo or whatever, and then enough for us to carry over into like, this is what we're looking for across the whole city.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's super interesting.
I think one of the important things is the citizen science part,
Yes.
because I think a lot of our tree inventory can be done by citizens. We have a very, with it, natural history sort of oriented people, and I think that they can go out and we can get a lot of inventorying done on a BioBlitz. So there's other people that we can pull into it that does BioBlitzes and sort of things. So I would suggest that one of the committees that comes out of our calendar time is a committee for working with Eva and doing that kind of citizen science and protocol sort of thing. So I would be happy to work with her. I think we need another person from council to work with us and sort of things, so,
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd be happy to do it.
okay, great.
I think Gene might be pretty well suited for it too. but
Right.
I don't want to overload you. So.
Well, these are, committees, they're fairly fluid, as we know. Yes, as we all know. So I think that would be a committee coming out of our calendar, and then we can put it together. I think that coinciding with the sustainability festival, I don't know what it's called, we're on the University Universe. We also need to, one of the other calendar things is developing at least some brochures to put at the table that we could have for that. And so that's another, maybe somebody who wants to take that on. That's one of the calendar things. Who's really good at doing, design, graphic design? I am not, so everybody's laughing. So maybe we'll reach out for people
we may
to help us.
be able to throw something together.
Right, we can throw something together. I have some examples, so.
Eva, can you say again when your expo or whatever it was?
The expo is on April 8th, which I believe is a Tuesday.
Okay, so we'll
Yeah.
try to make sure we can get something worked out.
Yeah.
That you can show before that.
I would point out there's only one more meeting of this commission before.
Yes, so stick
fast.
around afterwards and
Yeah,
we'll
yeah, for
share
sure.
emails and stuff.
When is the Earth Day fair that usually takes place in Walter?
In
Yeah,
April
I can
14th.
double check that because I am working one of those days.
The
an
thing
ambassador.
with doing a project like this, we don't have to really vote on anything, so.
Right.
We're more sponsors, so. I've been working with her for a while, so, okay. Yay, that looks really
Yay.
exciting. Let's see, other calendar things, people,
This just kind of came to me thinking about the calendar and like the seasonality of things. Specifically related to maintenance of the canopy, I think it would be cool to have themes per season for tree care and maintenance. So like in the spring, we can talk about planting. We can talk about fertilizing and things like that and try to put out public awareness campaigns.
Right.
In the summer, I think water should be a huge focus, especially during the drought season.
Yep.
So just, yeah, proper watering and things like that. And fall could also be planting and getting into pruning and winter pruning work. So just kind of keeping the seasonality of the trees themselves as a priority for some of our work here.
Right. And I would put that under a committee too, because I think that we need, what we need in the future is the tree festival, tree happiness, events and stuff to make people love their trees and recognize that they take care and lovingness and water during the drought. And then there's like policy areas that we need, or management areas, that some policy on how do you do the water, how do you call out the water emergency sort of thing. And then some of the technical issues, and so I think that would be a really good, tree care and tree maintenance through the year, I think would be a really important one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Will you be a chairperson for that?
I'd love to.
Right on. So, if people are interested, they can talk to Jean. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Okay. Some of the longer-term calendar issues is in the fall, we always apply for our Arbor Day tree recognition. And so that's pretty automatic to where it pops up, and there's a way of doing it, so it's more of a plug-in and a plug-and-play, I think you can call it. Some of the other things on our calendar would be some planting days with Athens beautification. So I think that we need to get with Mary Reed and look at areas that we can do some planting in the spring. No. So that would be a committee too. However, Mary has most of it, Mary Reed.
Okay, thank you.
She has it down to an art, so we can, that's another plug and play. It's amazing how many plug and plays we have input into the tree commission. Thank you very much. So, any other calendar things? I would like for you to talk about April 1st, which is a calendar thing about the grant.
Yeah, I have a decent amount of news to share about the grant.
Thank you.
Essentially, I think right now we should hold off on working on it at all. From what I'm being told by ODNR, funding is most likely going to be frozen for the IRA here in the state of Ohio. So there's no use in putting energy into it right now. I think we can compile some information, and if it comes back online, we could go for it.
Yes.
But things federally are a mess right now, and it's starting to trickle down. So that money is most likely not going to be available.
The money that was voted in by Congress, I'd like to say, and put in for projects that have already been planned and money has already been spent on,
Yeah,
it's a crime.
I agree. I think there's
Yep.
going to be a lot of legal action. But yeah, so I just got that news this week, and I'm working on projects that are IRA funded, so it's been a bit of a scramble.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't think that we're going to get that money.
Yep. Okay. Maybe we should just keep some of the ideas in the
Yeah,
background.
for sure.
So, lovely. I just love it, man. I would say the word, but I can't because it would be beeped. I have never been beeped on Athens public television. Maybe I should. Anyway, other calendar things? So, okay. That gives us a skeleton to build things on for, I think, not having the grant to write, then we can do more stuff with identifying and going forward with spring planting, especially with the spring beautification. So, great.
I had one thing I wanted to talk about a little bit. I don't know if you wanted to move on.
Yeah.
But specifically related to some of the tree preservation ordinance work we were talking about, I'm thinking of some more creative ways to use the tree code as it is instead of changing it. And I was looking recently at Title 33 in the prohibitions subsection, and it says that the Shade Tree Commission will maintain a list of qualifications that persons or companies shall meet in order to perform work for hire on pruning, removing, or planting of trees. I don't know if we have a list of qualifications, but I think if we were to create that list, it would significantly change the value of work being done here in town and who's doing that work. I know right now the city is contracting with Greenleaf to do removal and pruning work here in town, spending approximately $60,000 a year on that contract. And as far as I know, they don't have any ISA certified arborists on staff. And we could make that a qualification that's necessary to do tree work here in Athens. That's within our purview.
Yes.
So if we were to create that list, I would love input on that. And yeah, I would like to get that done as soon as possible.
Right. So create the list, look at what the qualifications are, reach out to people that you think may qualify for that, so that we can get the city a bigger list, I think would be a great idea. So, yeah,
Yeah, I'll take care of that.
thank you. Questions? Other things for our calendar? So,
Well,
got
it
that.
might be worth, since we were talking about like the potential code change of, defining what invasive species we want to control under code. It might be worth, Dave, if we could try to get like an invasive training with some of the inspectors. There are, even just like anecdotally on my street, some pretty nasty ones that will do like structural damage. That I don't know, if it's a renter that lives in there or what, but I think even just having those sort of notices, like, hey, like, even before, not even thinking about a fine, but a notice of like, hey, you are hosting invasive species.
So we have, we get complaints on that on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And most of them are the bamboo, the invasive bamboo.
Yeah.
You can see them there on the bike path by the river. It's horrible down there. We had a road temporarily
Oh,
closed.
you mean, it's not a bamboo, it's knotweed.
Yeah.
The knotweed.
Knotweed,
Yeah, okay.
Well,
It's not a
that's
bamboo.
actually, there is an invasive bamboo, and we checked to see, and I can't remember the.
Oh, yeah, that's in my neighbor's yard.
Yeah.
So,
But that stuff is, and the trouble that we have is we know it's there, but how do you get rid of it? You can't just cut it; it comes back.
Yeah.
You're going to have to spray it with pesticides, with herbicides, probably multiple times. So, one of the things that would be real helpful for us is how do you, if you not just notify or identify it, but how do you control it? What would be acceptable for the city for those kind of controls?
So that would be another thing that maybe we could throw to you, Joe, on putting, one of the big things was to add stuff onto the website. There are, OS extension, in my day job, that's basically my job, is just hand out, like, this is how you control the invasives on your property. So they're pretty readily available, but I do think, if we could house them somewhere and make that available to, not only just the city, the citizens, but, if it helps code at all, if they get those complaints or anything, like, they have something that they can point people to.
Actually, I was kind of thinking it in a different way. If you talk to anybody about how to control some of the bamboos and this really tough invasives, they're almost always say the best way to do it is with herbicides. But is that something that the city would want to allow, or you say no, we're just not going to do that. We'll find another way to get rid of it. That some kind of a guidance in that direction would be real helpful to us.
Yeah, I do think,
Another way other than like physical, consistent manual labor.
Yeah.
Some of
Have to
them,
be so consistent.
Yeah,
Right,
and it
and-
takes
and some of
years.
them are
So if
less-
you're gonna try to do it manually, it takes years to
right,
remove.
but some of the ones that are directly relevant to trees is ivy and then the kudzu. But the ivy and bitterroot, those.
Bittersweet.
Bittersweet, those are the ones that bring down trees especially. The knotweed, they grow to be 6 or 7 feet high. They don't really pose a problem to trees per se, though they are invasive and they keep other things out, so they are a problem with that. But I think that if we were going to identify species, it's those ones that love to grow up and ones that love to smother. And I would also say kudzu, because kudzu's coming. Thank you, climate change. Yay!
So it becomes pretty tricky, species by species of what's the best. Does the person want to put herbicide? That's a big sticking point for a lot of people is they do not want to have herbicide regardless.
But I
So-
think coming up with a bunch of recommendations, possible things that we can put on a website, training videos on the website would be a really good thing for us to give to code.
Yeah, so typically on those fact sheets that I kind of have in my mind of putting up, they will have identification, why it's a problem, and then like manual equipment control, and then chemical control. So it'll have like laid out when best to treat them, what to treat them with, things like that. So it should be pretty specific, give a range of options. And then, if they do have questions, I kind of hesitate because I don't know that it will always be in the purview of just ask the Shade Tree Commission. But, you do have a forester and an arborist that, that's basically my day job is to tell people how to treat these things. So I'm always happy to, if we did want to start a training, I don't know, I don't want to cut in on the guys' times or anything, but if there's a big change in code like that, it might be worth trying to organize something, or even with Ann Bonner or something, the DNR. So, but just wanted to throw that out there while we were talking about code change and calendars.
Appreciate
Cool.
it.
Okay. Let's see. The grant, we talked about the grant, the sad grant. So, Year of the Tree also has to do with calendar. One thing that we talked a lot about in the last meeting before last, is having a Year of the Tree, which would go through a lot of what Eva's doing and some of the committees are doing, and we can put it through sustainability and OU through the various festivals that they have is one of the things. And so we can also carry it over into fall tree planting and get more planting to be done because it's the Year of a Tree. I just think people right now really need some shiny object to look at besides all the other stuff that's going on in the world. And trees are super important, and I think that people would really like that. So, okay. I think one of the things that we need to look at is to have somebody who's more talented than I looking over kind of developing brochures and some boards, what did they call them? Trifolds, so that we can go to the sustainability conference, and we can go to these other conferences and have all our information and all our brochures so people can know what to do and know who to contact. So I don't know people like that. So that is something that has been vexing the Tree Commission for a while, and so I would like for somebody who knows talented people to take that on. Thank you.
I can figure that out.
Oh, thank you.
When
Awesome.
is that festival?
When is the
Sustainability
festival? April.
Yeah.
Are you talking about just the day?
There's like
Like
an
the 4
Earth Day, and then
Yeah, Earth
there's
Day.
there's multiple different dates.
There are,
It's a
And-
sustainability.
Yeah, I was
week
about to
that
say,
they
is the
usually-
Yeah.
sustainability fair?
yeah, that, which is earlier than, because whatever festival is first we can get everything ready, and then we can have it ready for the other ones that are coming afterwards. And there might be some in the fall, and who knows?
Monday, April 14th,
Okay.
12 to 4 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay.
Walter Hall.
Yeah.
We have to sign up for it, so
Right.
contact TCM Crow. I don't know
Yeah.
if that would be.
Yeah.
Is he your professor for
Yeah,
that
is it
class?
okay if I add something to that,
Yeah.
actually? So I was talking with him yesterday, and I will probably be working as, like, the OU Arbor Day events coordinator. And I think he also wants me to do some tabling at that event as well. So if that's something also where one of you would want to, you know,
Yes.
table with me, and it could
Yes.
sort of be like an integrated thing. He has, like, some materials. He has these like cardboard trees, and he was thinking of putting like QR codes on them, where it could be like a quick and easy survey that people could scan. We're trying to like brainstorm some questions. Maybe he was thinking like, oh, what's your favorite tree or whatever, but maybe it could have more substance where it would actually be helpful to sort of gauge some, you know, resident input about trees in Athens, things that could be useful later on with like the writing of a plan or something, or just even just gathering preliminary data. So that was something that I talked with him about yesterday.
Right. So I think that being able to answer all those questions, and being able to put together a nice presentation that we can put at a table, because that will be super helpful all the other times that we want a table, or put at the community center of like the wonderful stuff that we do and that we will do. So we will look at some of the stuff that you're talking about in our committee, and then you guys can, we'll work on it, and then we'll look at the April thing as a draft, and how wonderful our brochures and everything are. How's that? Yay. Okay, does that make sense? Cool. This is all stuff, action stuff that people are going to want to do. I mean, like, seriously. So, because everything's really fucking dire. I didn't say that. MOUs and stuff, I think, will be put on the back table. Because of things. So, any other things that are going on with trees and everything? Which tree do we love?
All of it.
All of them. That's right. We need a tree motto, actually, a secret tree handshake and a tree motto. So we'll have to put that out for a competition. I think that a tree haiku for the city would be awesome. So we'll have to think about that one. Any other announcements and business? Okay, next meeting is March 13th. Great. Questions or anything for the good of the order? Great.
I do think we should, Chris, I think this is...
No.
Okay.
So, we need to call for being gone. Adjournment. Can we call for adjournment? Thank you. Who wants to
Yeah.
call?
Motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All vote yay.
Yay.
Thank you.